Hello dear friends, welcome to the last part of this automatic processing video where I will try to explain that how we as human beings have increasingly started to process the information automatically and how it has led to the construction of some faulty meanings. So there are three different contexts uh, which maximize the conditions to create a faulty meaning of the context in which the information is based. So number one condition is how the media is constructing a superficial context to the information through a very short message. Second, how these media businesses do not want attention, do not want our attention as much as they want our exposure to the information. And third, how we mindlessly attending to this exposure, believing that we are trying to find out accurate information, that too with least mental effort. So these are the three conditions that maximize the context in which there is possibility of the construction of faulty meaning, and that only happens in the very under the very umbrella of processing of information which is done very automatically. I'll try to explain that. The very first thing that this automatic processing or this faulty meaning of construction that led us to is the faulty beliefs. So this faulty beliefs is being constructed through different processes. So it started with the information fatigue thing, which has led us to this automaticity thing, and then this automaticity has led us to the unconscious exposure, and we have also understood how this unconscious exposure it has led us to the inaccurate information. Now when I say inaccurate information, I'm not telling that media content is is not based on any facts. I'm not telling that. It is not about the false reporting of media, but it is about the partial understanding. So we are only following the information of one part of the media. We are not trying to find out the facts what the other media has represented the same fact. So there are different media has now, there are different channels of information today, and all these channels of information have presented in their own way. So everyone has their own way of presenting the information. So as a in order to process the information with our intellectual, with a sense of intellect in our mind, we we could have we could have understood those information from different media representations. We could have understood a particular context, that how this particular media has represented this issue, and we would not have ended our understanding to there. We will again try to get the points of the other media, because every media houses have their different ideologies, and they have always tried to present the information in different ways. So it becomes our duty to get the impartial understanding of any issue. But instead of doing that, we are attending to the partial understanding of media. We we are spending very little effort in understanding the different views of different section of media on a particular issue. So in that way, some media, they may or may not represent the facts while explaining the context. So we are not getting the context, the correct context, if we go by the report of one particular media, right? So there are many informations which are also outmoded. So every moment this information, it gets updated, and then in order to again to spend our least mental effort, we just try to attend to the information that may be outdated. So we do not follow the updated part of the information. So this is how we construct a faulty belief on a particular issue by relying on a partial understanding of the context represented by a section of media, right? The second thing that we begin to believe is about the criticism part. So as we increasingly start to rely on media, we also do this. We start to rely on the opinions created by public on a particular content. We do not apply our own sense. We do not go by the context. We do not go by different contextual understanding of the content. So the public opinion represented by the media is the only context that our knowledge of information is based on today, right? So if media has presented any content differently, we do not have the guts to ask a question to that. I mean, media may present a content in different way, figuratively, literally, different way. So there are different graphic presentations that you will find of violence in media. So until and unless there is blood, there is so much of graphic thing with the violence, the physical violence that is represented in the media, people will not protest, people will not criticize. So this is how we begin to believe, or this is how we have understood the representation of violence in the media. We believe that the violence is only seen in the form of blood, is seen in the very deteriorating image graphically presented by the media. But the same media, if they try to represent about the verbal or verbal violence in their content, in their in their content, then you will not find that people complain against that, because people do not find any disturbing image out of that. So this is how the perception of a particular issue is constructed by the media. So we begin to understand that okay, the violence, physical violence is more dangerous, or physical violence is the only form of violence that should not be represented in media, because that is disturbing to them. And that is how the media also they also try to, in order to get as much as exposure to their content, they will now apply another way in order to represent the violence. For example, they will represent the violence in a verbal manner, and that is not disturbing for the public, so the public will not criticize that. So there is much possibility of misguided criticism of the contents that is represented in the media. So all this content are at last the information, right? So all these informations are being perceived by us from the perspective of the media. So this is how, faulty construction of meaning is, is running over the human beings, and people have started to people have, become addicted to it today, so that they do not pose any challenge to such construction. So this is how, the step 3 of automatic processing of information is. So I believe that all the 3 steps have been explained in 3 different videos. I wish that each and every one of you will go through the video. If you have any questions, any confusion regarding these explanations, you can send an email to me posting your questions, or you can also ask that directly in the class. So till then, I hope that you will, try to use these videos as much as possible in order to, understand, and in order to complete your course. Even if your assignments have some questions, you should go through these videos very carefully. Thank you.